Hi, this is Ashley from 15 Hats, and today we're talking about how this little guy came home, part 2. All right, so day 1 in classic form, we were super late and rushing to get to the hospital, doing last minute pictures here before we got there. We made it on time, and then we got checked in and everything, and we were super hopeful because we were going for a VBAC, which is a normal birth after cesarean, because I had a C-section with our first child, and I was really hopeful. I thought everything, we were
just gonna walk right in, and it was just gonna come right out.
It's just gonna happen. So we got there around 5, and then I got hooked up to everything, and they ran whatever. Did they do tests? I can't even remember at this point.
Like they drew your blood or something.
I don't know. So we got there, got all hooked up to everything, and then they started low-dose Pitocin, and then the weight was on.
Apparently I'm having contractions. I had no clue. Long 2-minute ones.
It's just like last time where you don't even know that it's happening.
I had no clue. She's like, yeah, you're having one right now. I was like, oh, really? I don't feel anything.
So that first night, like I said, I was on the Pitocin and not really too much happened that first night.
So my body got used to it. So instead of going down like we were thinking we were gonna have to, we had to increase it. So that way the contractions kept going.
Look at those beautiful contractions.
Try to get some sleep, which they started saying at like 6 o'clock.
I know, at like 6 p.m. I'm like, who the heck?
They keep telling me to take a nap. It's 7:40. I can't take a nap at 7:40. I don't know. I get to eat tonight. They're gonna take it slow, and so I'm getting to eat, and then we're waiting.
You excited?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Let's see what we got.
Ooh.
Ooh, nice. Very nice. Did ask for Coke though, but it's okay.
All right, so on day 2, we woke up, and one of my doctors, we were the large practice, so we had several doctors, but she came in, and I believe she checked me, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have much progress. She had us eat breakfast.
We got breakfast. How's that dilation going?
Not good.
And then the next doctor came on shift at 4 that night, I believe it was. So when she came on, still not much progress. So she wanted to put in, I had at least dilated enough so that they could try to put the Foley bulb in. So she attempted and she could not get it in. It was
No go.
quite interesting. And she couldn't get it in, so then she really recommended for me to get the epidural.
So my cervix now, after a million hours, is still not completely open. So we're gonna try the epidural, even though that wasn't part of my plan. But I'm gonna trust the doctor. So we're gonna get an epidural, and then they're going to basically force the Foley bulb in. So we'll see. Sounds painful, but I'm getting the epidural for that reason. So fingers crossed.
Let's go back to that epidural, shall we?
Oh gosh.
That was really scary there for a minute.
She got the epidural, I guess went in okay. And then, of course, since Ashley already has low blood pressure, her blood pressure dropped like crazy after getting the epidural. So it was like 60/30, which, I don't know, it's like barely even moving. So it was like a little bit of a crazy, I don't know, like, what, like 5 minutes or so? 5-10 minutes? 5, 10, 15 minutes of trying to get her stable. But she's all good now. We'll see how we progress from here.
Okay, so I could only lay on my left side. It was the craziest thing. Even if I tried to like sit flat, my monitors would go nuts and I would start to feel faint again. And it was actually kind of a lot of torture trying to lay only on my left side, and I swear to you, my left butt cheek is still numb, and it's been 2 months. I don't know if it's ever gonna come back or go back to normal.
We got Mr. Peanut. He's been around the block a few times. You know what I'm saying?
Foley bulb is finally in. I have the peanut ball. And then now I'm just waiting. And at some point they're gonna put the Pitocin back on and go from there. So it's 6:21 on Wednesday now. And I'm finally fully effaced, and I'm 1.5 centimeters. So hopefully at my next check, I'll be 4 or 5 or 6. That'd be good because my contractions are coming consistently. So fingers crossed.
Then we waited for the Foley bulb to see what happened, and that was in for a while. So that doctor that came on call, and I'm so thankful that she was the one that came on call because that's like what she normally does, and she had a VBAC herself. So she pulled out all the stops, and I can feel at peace now. I was not at peace in the hospital. I was very depressed, but I can feel at peace now that we tried everything that we could. So she did that, and they were messing with my Pitocin the whole time, stopping it and starting it because they didn't want my uterus to rupture, which can happen. So they were like playing with that, trying to get that to work. You guys, literally, she pulled the Foley bulb out after it had been in for how many hours? I don't know if it was 8 to 12 hours. I'm not sure what it was. I was still at a 1 to 2. So then at that point, she wanted me to rest and that we would reassess in the morning. But then the new doctor came on call, and he's the one who's like, he only works in the hospital, so I had never met him before. But he basically told me, like, you need to have a C-section at this point.
The death stare. I think that's what it's gonna be like. You filming me all the time. Yes, it is.
Y'all, I just had the best meal of my life. I was so hungry, but I just had chicken quesadillas, hummus and veggies, and finishing it off with some red jello. Best meal ever.
So then after like 42 to 43 hours of trying to be induced, I ended up with a C-section, and then we had this little guy, and after that we went up, and then we were, you know, in recovery, I guess, after that. So everything was fine. We had he had his bath at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Alright, so the first night was a little rough. We had some diaper explosions in there. We were trying to figure out if he's hungry. It was a little bit of a rough night, but then we got a really good stretch where he didn't wake up for like 4 hours, so everybody slept for 4 hours. And now he's sleeping and won't wake up.
So normally it's 3 days in the hospital unless you have complications after you have a C-section. But because of COVID and all the things, they were, I guess, letting people leave sooner. So our nurses were all telling us, like, after we had been there for 2 days, that, okay, now, you know, like, you can leave today if you want. And then my doctor came in and, like, had a cow.
What are you doing?
Yeah, probably. I'm assuming, because I was honestly worried to leave just because I was in labor for so long, that I was a little scared to leave. If I had just come in for a C-section, I probably would have been like, okay, fine, everything's normal. But I was just worried because I had had so many drugs for 43 hours trying to have him, and then, you know, going through the C-section, I don't know, I was worried. And apparently my doctor agreed, because she, like, basically told me, you're not going anywhere,
like,
you are staying for another day.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
Stay.
So
We're finally busting out of this place, like, what, 5 days later? Yeah, 5 days later. And I'm excited to get home and see Parker and have Parker meet Emerson. And yeah.
if you had any questions, what am I supposed
If he's cute, leave a like and subscribe. Ring the bell.